Oh, we're live. Oh, okay. By the way, you might want to pick this up, The Magnetic Project Manager. Just pretty decent read there. Hey family, I got some events I want to get out first before we get into today's episode. First things first, as you can see, located in the chat here, the Project Management 360. My friend, my buddy, my mentor and coach is actually putting it on something for this Saturday, May 4th, and looking at the website now. It's called Project Management 360. What I love about this family is it's just not for new project managers. It's also for seasoned project managers, intermediate project managers. Basically, if you're interested in project management or you're already in project management, you need to be here. And the thing about it is like, people always wait to the last minute to take advantage. He really had a real sweet deal. It was at one moment, I think he was only charging $10. I was like, I mean, this is probably worth a couple $1,000 worth of stuff. Now it's $49.99, still ridiculously cheap. I mean, inexpensive. I shouldn't say cheap, inexpensive. And you definitely want to jump in here and take advantage of it. I put the link, like I said, in chat. And again, it's really around project management principles, strategies for ACE and PMP exam, insider tips for effective leadership. Yours truly will be speaking there. So come support your boy. I mean, $50. I mean, that's what. Come on, just show me some love. So anyway, check that out. Hope you guys go check that piece out. And with no further ado, we will jump in today's content here, and hopefully we could learn something today that excites everyone about um I don't know, leadership. I'm on this big leadership kick, if you guys can't tell, family. So all right, let's get into it. I do have a question for you before we get started actually in it. Do you really believe that people leave jobs because of an individual or individuals? Okay, you don't like that question. Okay. How about this one? Do you believe or do you think that poor leadership or poor management is the driver for the reason why people do not decide to leave that organization or the project? Okay, you don't like that one. Okay, this is my last shot at it. Do you believe that people really leave managers, not actual jobs? Well, if you fall into that third category, we're going to unpack that today. What's going to be so unique about today? This is going to be a two-part episode. So the first part is is going to be the project management edition, and then the second part is going to be more of an overall leadership type approach. Still the same concept, still the same approach. Oh, and I'm forgetting my manners. If you're new to the channel or you're new to this episode, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, listen, that just simply means, Ed, I have an 8-point framework. In these 8 points, my goal, my job, my mission is to unpack today's episode, what is entitled, Do People Leave Managers and Not Jobs? Again, people leave managers, not jobs. Family, when I first started hearing that that people leave managers and not jobs, I was all on board of it because very early in my career I had some experiences where I really believed that managers or leaders are the ones that disrupted it in a way where it just wasn't healthy to stay there anymore. But then I got to thinking, as you continue to progress through your career and you start doing, reading, like I read a lot of books on leadership and management. And so when I started really digging deep, I'm going to debunk that today. I think I'm going to go and debunk that today. And I'm going to give some reasons why people point the finger at managers and saying, well, this was the reason why I left because of the fact of this didn't happen or that didn't happen. And these are things that are fixable. These are things that it wouldn't, if we would have dig to the root of what was going on versus the surface level, we would have been able to address this sooner. So with no further ado, let's get into these 8 points. Point number one: inadequate onboarding. Listen, when project managers fail to provide a comprehensive onboarding and training for new team members, it can lead to a lack of clarity. What does that look like? A lack of clarity is basically, what am I supposed to be doing in this role as a stakeholder? What is my basically, what's my roles and responsibilities? So one of the things I use, it was an organization I went to, and man, they had an amazing onboarding experience. One of the things I liked that they did was they developed a standardized onboarding process, and then they included the, like, they allowed you to job shadow, and then from there they had a mentoring program, and then they actually had training on project management tools and methodologies, which is huge because every organization has their way about how they want projects led, and or they also have ways of how project managers have to report in and with the tools that they use, because I've used various amounts of different tools. So one of my reason why I thought this point was so huge and so key, of having it where we need to have adequate onboarding processes. So that's what makes point number one stand out the most, because of inadequate onboarding. As I mentioned at the top of this video, family, again, Saturday, May 4th, we will be having the Project Management 360 seminar. You do not want to miss it. You want to be in the place. If you're not in the place, I don't know why you're not there. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on to point number two: lack of psychological safety. What does that mean? Well, what happens is when you don't create a safe environment, when project managers do not create a safe environment, team members do not feel comfortable about speaking up and about actually taking risk. Because what would tend to happen, family, is that when you create an environment where you don't, I don't want to say allow, because that would not be a fair assessment, where you don't create an environment where someone can articulate out a potential risk or a potential innovative approach to how doing things differently, and it's shot down without any um further explanation. Is just like, no, we're not going to do that. And you say, well, why we're not going to do it? Oh, we're just not going to do it. It goes back to that whole thing that I always share with you guys, is that how sometimes people can get so caught up in the problem that they forget to focus any amount of energy on the actual solution. So here's an actionable item for that: when you are in an environment that you're trying to protect the safety of your employees from a psychological standpoint, meaning that you want to be able to have that transparent, that open communication, you're going to have to push for that, family. As a project manager or project coordinator, you're going to want to encourage open communication and feedback, and create a culture of experimentation and learning from failure. I know a lot of people say, oh, learning from failure, yeah, we do practice that. And then when you get into your organization, you see, I don't know if you do practice that, because it would be an open, transparent conversation. So you want to ensure that you're actually doing that. Let's move on to point number three. Point number three: lack of vision. When a project manager fails to articulate a clear, compelling vision for the project and the team, it can truly lead to a lack of purpose and direction among on the team members. And that really is going to have a project. I mean, you're going to be on as they say, an uphill battle if you're not able to articulate that vision. That's why one of the biggest things is, once you get that charter, and then once you get out of the initiating phases and you have the charter, I said, to me, the charter is more like a marketing magnet, in a sense in which you're literally, it was what someone wants to ask you about the project, you can give them that high level and say, hey, we're in planning phase, we're going to do a deeper dive to unpack what this project is supposed to look like in the long term. And so actionable steps is, you want to ensure you develop a project vision statement that aligns with the organization's strategic goals and values, and communicate this vision to all team members and stakeholders. Because if we fail to do that, then it goes back to my, if you don't plan to fail, then you fail on planning, or if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. You get where I'm going with this, family. The point I'm trying to make is that it's important, no matter of fact, it's imperative that we focus on articulating out what the vision statement is for this particular project. And a lot of times you will get that information from the business case, or via the project charter, or just get the project sponsor into a meeting with you, and take down notes. You see, my eyes got big. I was like, oh, but take down notes. And as you ask him the question or her the question, but you want to prep them and say, hey, this meeting that we're about to have in the next day or the next week or whatever, I want you to be able to come and articulate the vision of what this project is. What does it mean to the people that are actually the stakeholders, or the project team? What does it mean to them? How much value are they going to get out of it? All right, let's move on to point number 4. Lack of diversity and inclusion. Listen, you know, when you look at it, a lot of times there's a diverse uh, team when you're leading projects. Now, fortunately, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of diverse teams, which I put this point out there because I know there's other project managers that don't get that diverse team, and then it's like so you lose the opportunity to hear different creative styles, to hear different innovational styles, and to really get a true employee engagement. I really believe diversity and inclusion is huge. It's key for a project because, again, having the ability to pull from different people's background to come up with a solution that's going to make this project better, I'm all for. Let's move on to point number 5. Poor stakeholder management. Listen, any project that I've ever been a part of, anytime that proper stakeholder management is not done well, I already know where this project is going. This is going to be one of those projects where you might as well just say, yeah, we've already lost money, resources, anything that you can think. It's just going to go bad. So what has to happen is ensuring that you create a stakeholder engagement plan that identifies key stakeholders and their communication preferences as well, and regularly communicate project status and progress to all of the stakeholders. If we're not able to do this, because what happen is too is when you're regularly communicating out to your stakeholders, you may even be able to catch stakeholders who thought, oh, I don't even need to be part of that project, and then find out as you're continually unpacking the project, they'll say, oh, wait a minute, I do need to know about this. This may have an impact in my department. I think I need to get some input in there and be part of the discussion so I can add value to the project. I know a lot of times as project managers, we don't want to invite a lot of stakeholders because you're concerned about it being disrupted. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I would rather disruption happen now early as we're getting up to speed, as we're learning and going along, versus when you're near the end and as now you're looking backwards and saying, man, I wish I would have, I regret that I did. No, we can eliminate all of that particulars of that you would face. Point number 6, lack of agility. I really believe that since PMI has taken on the agile mindset, I'm seeing a lot of this going away as a little bit, but not as fast as I would love to see it. What are you talking about? Basically, what point 6 is the lack of agility. With project managers, sometimes we can get caught up in that waterfall methodology and would be resistant to change. I was one of those project managers, so I'm not speaking from what I heard. I'm speaking from what I know. I actually did. I was like, well, why we got to switch from waterfall? This is, but it just wasn't working. And it was an application, and we needed to move faster. And the only way to move faster, and when you don't have any of the requirements, is to be able to run a Scrum type project. And so that's what we did. We leveraged Scrum to actually get this app out, and we were able to learn faster and fail faster. And because of that, we were able to build something that was worth standing on. So adapting more of a agile mindset really gives you another tool in your project management tool belt that allows you to be flexible, allows you to create that collaboration, allows for you to have that continuous improvement. All right, let's move on to point number 6. Point number 7, lack of empowerment. A lot of times we forget our goal as project managers is to empower the team to make decisions, not choices, take on ownership, not rent. You like how I did that? What I'm saying there, family, is that by someone owning their own decisions, by stakeholders owning their own ownership of the work, it can lead to a really workable environment, meaning everyone is motivated because there's accountability that each person is responsible for, meaning they're not trying to kick work away because they're like, this is my set of work, this is my body of work, and I just want to make sure I'm doing the most appropriate thing for my team. So delegate decision making authority to team members, but base this off of their skill set, I should say, and their experience, and provide them with the required resources that they need. One of the artifacts that I would definitely recommend if you're doing this is use a RACI. We know RACI as being responsible, accountable, consultant, informed. This is a simple matrix that you can list all the tasks on one side, list all the departments, or I say departments or stakeholders on at the top, and then just leverage those acronyms to have the success that you're looking for. All right, point number 8, poor conflict management. I talk about conflict a lot in my on this channel, and the reason why is, family, I want to get you guys prepared for the conflicts that may come, and if they never come, awesome. But I'm going to tell you, there's not one project I've ever worked on where there wasn't some type of conflict, whether it was very small to it being super big to the point where we had to scrap the project. So being able to have the ability as a project manager to address and resolve conflicts among team members in a timely manner is going to be this is going to save your project, because the longer you let that conflict go out and they start disrupting emails, when you start seeing the emails disrupted because it's 13 responses, and you're like, man, you guys could have got on a call and this been knocked out, and then they get on a call and you're actually in a meeting, and now the meeting has become disruptive. And so it's just so many aspects. But if you nip that in the bud, as they say, if you attack that head on, you have a better chance at having a better smooth run project with your stakeholders. So understanding, one of the recommendations if you're seeing a lot of conflicts in your project, you might want to think about putting a conflict management plan together. Basically, how are we going to identify the conflict? It's sort of like risk. How are we going to assess it? How are we going to resolve the conflicts among team members? So that's going to be huge, family. So putting a conflict management plan. I know a lot of people don't talk about that. I've used a conflict management plan a couple times, but more or less, as soon as a conflict happened, that I feel like doesn't feel too well, like, and you can tell because it will, like I said, it continue to happen through email or over the call, and you gotta set up separate calls with them, each party, and then get them together. Hey, if you guys can't resolve this, then we may need to look in a different direction for stakeholders who could assist. All right, let's get on to our bonus. I have one bonus here for you today, and that is lack of work prioritization. I don't know how many times I've seen this and as a project manager, you get irritated because especially when you got an all-star on your team, and you was like, oh man, I know this stakeholder is probably going to be working on 3 or 4 different projects that all of them are going to be considered a priority. How do I get mine to be at the top of the list? Hey, don't judge me. I'm just being honest. When you got some stakeholders, when they come in, they execute. Like, they don't hem and haw. They don't, they come in and execute. So it's important, though, family, when you do identify a stakeholder, that you can see that their prioritization is shifting, and you may want to set up a meeting with that manager and say, hey, I need to ensure that my project, where does it fall at? And if we can hold it there, if it falls at 1, or if it even falls at 3, the 3 slot, whatever the slot it falls in, how am I going to ensure that I'm going to get the full value out of working with your direct report? Because so the team is counting on this person, and without this person, the stakeholder, is going to be challenging to do this. So again, focus on ensuring that you prioritize tasks and allocate resources effectively. A lot of times you'll have a lot of resource constraints in projects, and how do you battle that is ensuring that you create a focus and you ensure that there's really good productivity among the team members. And you may have to cross train someone else to help support the project. I've done that. I've even had to step in. And again, don't mind doing that. But the point of it is that I believe the SME, a subject matter expert, probably would have loved to have done that body of work, but they're getting pulled in different directions. So you want to get in front of that to understand the different direction they're getting pulled, so your project can maintain and sustain as being a high priority, wherever that falls in at. Here's my 3 closing remarks, family. Point number 1, lack of psychological safety. As I stated before, having the ability, there's nothing like being in an environment where you can be very, very transparent. I'm not talking about transparent to hurt feelings. I'm not talking about transparent to be belittling. I'm talking transparent to help someone out, because you're seeing that they're going to a different direction, or maybe they communicated something that was inaccurate. Instead of blasting the email out to everybody, or blasting that resource out to everybody, you talk to them in a small meeting, or you have a very transparent conversation about, hey, listen, I know you want the date to be this date, but we may need to move some things around. So I love those type of environments, because again, each person understand you're not attacking me. It has nothing to do with me. You're attacking the work that I've put out, or the work that that person's put out. All right, point number 2, inadequate onboarding. Again, I shared that before, is that, for a project manager, when someone comes on your team that's new, you want to assist them and start asking, hey, did you get properly onboarded? And if they say yes, then you go deeper. What was that like? What was the onboarding that you went through? Because you want to verify what they're saying, because if they didn't know, if they don't know where certain things is, you want to be able to help guide them in that area, or even set up a meeting with their manager or whoever. And I'm going to stop right there real quick, because I know a lot of times people feel some kind of way, project manager feels some kind of way, where you have a new resource and the new resource doesn't know where certain things is. And then you set up a meeting with the manager, and the manager kind of, it kind of makes that person feel some kind of way, like, well, why you didn't come to me? And again, it's one of those things, if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to get the right information back. Let's move on to point number 3, lack of empowerment. As I stated, you want to be able to have your subject matter experts, your stakeholders, be able to take full ownership of the piece of work that they're responsible for, and making decisions and not choices. Hey, family, I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, in the chat, Project Management 360, we are going to do that. Your boy is going to be speaking on Saturday, May 4th. This is going to be a movement. I'm looking for many more to come, but for right now, you want to sign up. This is probably going to be the best time to sign up, because when we get really exceptional, when we get really great at this, the price is probably I'm going to tell my mentor coach, you need to triple, quadruple this price, because we're going to give away so much value. I know we are. And there's going to be a spectrum of speakers that's going to be speaking there. So again, May 4th, check it out. The link will be in chat. The link will be wherever you can find it, wherever you're listening and watching from. I really enjoyed today's episode. This has been your boy ED. Until next time, I'm out.